by
But you know what I mean, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, man. So let's get the intro going on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paul and Palz podcast. It is my honor, my privilege to introduce. Let me get, every time somebody gets on, it's not, you know, Will or Len. I got to get the proper intro going on. So let me get this one going. He's a businessman. You always correct me if I'm wrong. You're an entrepreneur by those definitions.
Yes, sir.
You are let's get to the main ones. You're a husband and a father, and we have to talk about that.
Yes, sir.
Soon to be author. I'm gonna throw
We're working on that.
I'm working on it, but it's still like I'm always gonna, well, ladies and gentlemen, Bryan Hooks. So everybody give it up for Mr. Bryan Hooks. And when it comes to the, you know, soon to be author, for as long as I've known you, you've been when it comes to business, you're a no nonsense type of man. When you say You're gonna do something on that end, it gets done. So soon to be author. We're gonna say soon to be author, but let's just say author. Like, we're gonna talk about in future terms, author. Like, you're gonna get it done, and I already can't wait to see the end result. So,
oh, absolutely.
All those things mixed into one, plus a good friend, then you have a Mr. Bryan Hooks. So what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good, man. I was, speaking of the book, actually, I think I told you, we're going to be starting out first with podcast, much like you're doing here. So we're putting all the ducks in a row in order to get that, off the ground. So we're thinking probably about, we gave ourselves an 8-week deadline to start recording. But along with all that, I'm working on artwork and everything right now. I'm going to be putting the Facebook page together, so we have a central place for guests who just happen upon us, or if we advertise for it and they find us and want to be a guest, they could book through Facebook with us, right? So I'm learning Adobe Photoshop now, so I'll be able to do that. I'll be recording everything to Adobe Audition. So once I get off this call with you, I'm going to be messing around with that, making sure everything is set up and legit with the computer and the roadcaster here.
Those programs I do, the programs that you mentioned, I do. So if there's any way I can help, please let me know. But that goes to what I just said. No nonsense when it comes down to coming from studio. I'm in my top floor of my house. You get it in, man. For as long as I've known you, I salute that. And we're going to talk about that mindset in a minute, because I know it's one of the things you want to touch on, and we're going to get there. But I always want to ask this, because on top of what you're doing now, you are a business owner. You are a man that you are your own boss.
Right.
So I always want to get these two questions, and I've only had one person that's been legitimate enough on a business end that I can ask. So you make number two.
I got you.
So my two questions are, for somebody on a come up, and I'll put myself in there, for somebody that's trying to get it in, what's the one financial advice you would give somebody, and in your come up, what's a bit of personal advice that you've learned to have somebody avoid a pitfall or two that you had encountered?
I got you. Honestly, I could wrap both of those up into one answer, and that is mentorship, right? If you are looking to do anything, right? Let's go back to when you first started riding a bike. Did you learn to do it on your own, or did you have somebody hold the back of your seat who knew how to ride a bike to teach you?
Yeah, somebody hold that bike so I don't bust my ass.
Right? When it comes to sports, did you have a coach that never played the game that you were playing, or did you have a coach who knew what he was doing and knew how to teach you?
True.
Right. So same thing with business, man. Surround yourself with people who have either done what you did or even are doing what you did. And that is going to help you avoid some of the mistakes. Now, those people who are your mentors will also tell you that making the mistakes are key. They're going to be mistakes. You are going to fall on your face. You're going to fall on your butt. It doesn't really matter, because that's how you learn in this game. No matter what your hustle is, that's how you learn in the game, is to make mistakes. But if you can learn from others who've made those mistakes before you, then you'll get there that much faster.
See, that's awesome you say that, because when I talk to, I don't have any kids. I have a nephew. And I make it a point to give him my fails. Like, if you go down that road, there's a lot of bullshit down that road, and you're going to come out with a busted knee. Like, that road is no good. Take this road, because I learned after taking that road, I should have took this road.
Right.
And you need that, you know, if I wish I had somebody that would have been like, no, don't go through that door. Go through this door. Don't do this because you want to go through this. A lot of people, you know, going back to what you said, a lot of people, and myself included, I get upset. If I'm doing things for the first time, I get mad when I don't accomplish them.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn, I got to scale that back. And it comes with the repetition and the failings of it all.
Right.
I've learned that, you know what, you have to take these bumps. You cannot accomplish it on your first try.
Right.
Nobody, unless you're an absolute supernatural. God bless you.
I will play the devil's advocate a little bit there with you.
Please.
Because, you know, I sort of seek to fail. And it sounds kind of strange, right? But if you know everything you're doing, right, and you'll only take action when you're 100% confident that you can execute and get something done, you'll never get out of your comfort zone and you'll never grow, right? You have to keep pushing towards failure, because on the other side of that failure is your growth. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes
so a little bit of a devil's advocate there, you know what I mean? But I mean, you just got to keep pushing yourself. That's just what it is. Yeah. Unless you just are happy staying where you're at, then hey, more power to you. But
it sounds like a conversation I had with a few podcasts ago with Will and Lynn. Like, you know, you have to get out that comfort zone. You have to, in order to progress, got to go through it.
Right.
There is no one without the other. You have to take those lumps to build those calluses to move forward.
Yeah. And, you know, and I let the lumps motivate me. Now that's going to be dependent on how your personality runs. But for me, I take a lump, I know I'm going to learn from it, and it just fires me up to get to the next step even faster, because I know I'm more prepared now to be successful.
And that goes into what you said in taking the lumps. You can take the first initial lumps you take are probably the most crucial, because those are going to determine where you're going to go. Yeah. You go, okay, now I'm good. I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
And that's where you stay. But, you know, you get knocked down and then you get back up. It may take that first time, may be a real slow time getting up, but you get up. Mm-hmm. And you get knocked down again. And next time you get up slow, but not as slow. And then you trudge forward. And you get knocked down again. And then when you get to where you're at, you get knocked down. You're just back up like, you know, you're back up like Rocky. Like, that's all you got. Let's go.
It's part of the training, man. If you think about it, like I remember being a young kid and doing up downs in football, right? Before my body was used to it, you know, I go down and I push myself back up, and then I got conditioned and I was pop, you know what I mean? And then that's how I learned to play the game. They would always tell you, you're going to get hit, you're going to get knocked down. Don't let them see you hurt. Just pop right back up. And that training from practice is how I would start executing in the games. It's the same with business. It's the same with really any aspect of your life. But people aren't taught that all the time, right? So you got to seek mentors, and this is how you start learning those things. Read books, listen to podcasts, seek out who you want to be. Once you figure that out, and you'll start finding all those little pieces of information that you didn't know.
Yeah, no, something else that I was talking to Will and Lynn about, you don't take relationship advice from somebody who has been divorced 100 times and has another one pending. You don't take.
I mean, unless you're trying to find out what not to do.
That's go to devil's advocate. That's the only time. Like, that's the reversal of that rule.
Right.
But the initial, you're not going to take financial advice for somebody who's dead broke, constantly in debt and frivolously spends money.
Yeah.
You'll figure out what not to do, but you're not going to take advice from them.
Right.
You know, so.
And the funny thing about it is that those are all the people who are going to be the first ones to say something to you, the first ones to give you advice, the ones who don't know nothing about nothing.
and they swear they have the answers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I heard this from somewhere. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a girl who is married to his uncle, and he told me this.
Yeah.
So it's got to be right.
And it all goes, and we're gonna go into the mindset because I want to pick your brain on that. But it all are pieces of mindset into that pot that makes somebody successful. We are gonna get into that. Right. So I myself am a single man, no kids. So this doesn't pertain to me, but I think it's a huge thing because there's more people not like me than like me, and more people that want to be successful. So you being a husband and a father, how do you balance that out with everything you're trying to do, plus probably one of the most crucial roles you'll ever have is being a husband and a father?
Right. Well, that took some doing. I've fallen on my face quite a few times, learning and getting to this point that I'm at. But I do have the mindset when it comes to that of there's always room for improvement, right? So as good as a husband and father and friend I think I am now, I could be better, right? There's somebody out there better than me who could teach me how to, divvy up my time a little bit better. Maybe it could be involve some of my family in the things that I'm doing to help me be productive, But as far as my case is concerned specifically, it's communication, man. I learned that I had to communicate with my wife and with my family what my desires are, what my goals are, and what I feel it was going to take for me to get there, right? If your family isn't on board with the plan, then you're not going to be a family for very long. Okay. And that scares the hell out of me. Okay.
It does.
You feel me? So I was in a position where I was still living a single man's life in everything I was trying to accomplish, but I was married at the time, right? So I would think, oh, there's something I got to go get done. And me being the go-getter, I'll just go get it. No communication with nobody. I'll be where I'm at, right? It doesn't work like that when you have a family, right? And then I started to feel bad when my wife would approach me when I came back through the door, and she's like, look, I need some time. I need some help with the kids, this, that, and the third. And I would instantly get defensive initially and say, look, I'm going over the top here. I'm trying to do everything I need to do to, build this life for us. And it took probably a good 5 to 7 times for her to say it to me. She's like, good, that's cool. I'm happy for you. You could build all those things. But what you're saying, you're trying to build them for us. If you don't do this cohesively with me, there's not going to be an us. And everything you've done will be for naught.
It's crazy. Wow. Yeah. That's a nice, for all the shots that you have to take, that's a solid uppercut.
Yeah.
And it goes on communication, because
right,
there's no maliciousness behind your goals. Right. You're trying to get it done, and you're trying to get it done in a way that's like, no, this is how I have to get it done. This is how I have to get it done. And you need that. You need the rest of your team to let you know, like, wait a minute, bring it back a scale. This is a team.
Yeah.
And dude, that's pretty awesome, dude. I find myself as single with no kids. I'm exhausted trying to get the things I have to do done. So I can't I had to know that secret, even though I don't see myself needing those answers anytime soon. It amazes me. It's one thing to do what you're trying to do dolo. You have your support team, you have the people that are there for you, but you are entrenched in this team. I could leave my team could leave me, and I'm still me trying to accomplish the things I need to do.
Right.
Not the case for you, because you are now like Voltron, like you are now together. You're a unit. And to see you take that ball and run with it, and to set your sights on a goal, and to still hold it down on that front, because that's as important, if not more so. trying to be a family man plus get everything going, I have to salute that. Like, salute you.
I appreciate that.
Also, while we're saying that and you giving that answer, salute to Mrs. Hooks and the little Hooks for holding it down. So
yeah, they'll appreciate that.
Nah, of course, man. And again, that's a vital part. Like, if anybody, this is like a little knowledge course right here, man. And I can give my perspective for somebody that's single, but I'm just kind of free swinging on the vines, like, you know, like Tarzan. Like, you have some things on your back that you have to swing with, and not necessarily. My point of view is not always the, you know, not always the way that people swing. Like, you know,
right.
there are people that's trying to hold it down with families, still trying to make something happen. I don't have the answer to that, so I had to ask, man. And that's an awesome answer, and salute to you and salute to the family, man. And
yeah, no doubt. And I'll even elaborate a little bit on it. You know, when we went through our premarital counseling, I was asked one simple thing, and the man who I love and trust said to me, "Would you lay your life down for your wife?" Right? And as a man, initially, you're like, "Oh, absolutely, I'll jump in front of a bullet for no doubt." But before I could even get those words out of my mouth, he said, "You know, before you answer, let me help you understand what I mean in a biblical sense, okay?" And he said, "It doesn't mean, well, part of it is, you know, would you lay your physical life down? But what ultimately it means is, what things of your single life are you willing to sacrifice and shed for the prosperity of your family, for the prosperity of your wife," right? When you walk into a relationship, when you walk into a marriage, the best way to make that successful is to always be putting them before yourself. And then you can expect the same in return. So as much as you can give of yourself to your wife, you can expect it to come back. Now, in my experience, women are much better at doing that. So the harder you try, the harder you give yourself, just expect it like 5, 10 more times back in return, because that's just how they are, man. But I always reach, like I told you, for more. I always reach to be better. Another project I'm going to be working on is I didn't know what it was called until I started down the path of doing it, but they call it a legacy letter, right? So I'm going to be writing these letters for my children, things I've learned, right? But I had the idea to do it in a media format, right? I'm going to create a YouTube channel dedicated to them. So, you know, if something should happen to me, which technically is the title of it, If I Should Go, a series for my children, I'll be on YouTube reading these letters, these heartfelt letters that I've written to them, right? And I guess my idea is, if something were to happen to me, and let's say my daughter's now 24, right? I'm gone. She'll be able to refer to all these little footprints I've left on social media.
Wow.
To hear my voice, to learn the things that I've learned over my lifetime, to, you know, share my life and my path with her children, or whoever else that she think that it might help. You know, so things like we're doing here.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Like, that's, you know, obviously you want to stick around as long as you can, but preparing
Well, yeah,
for that,
absolutely.
you know, having something, you know, like you say, just in case, there's a part of you that stays with the kid, that they can, you know, as a reference, and as just to know that, you know, I'm still here, you know, here's some lessons, man. Like, wow, that's incredible, man. That's incredible. That's pretty sick. I like that. Wow. Going back to the business side of it, family aside, and I guess, you know, if family is the answer, trying to find that balance, that's also cool. But if not, what has been the most difficult part, maintaining and going through those steps and still being on that path of just being a successful businessman?
The most difficult part is what we alluded to earlier, actually, is to break through the failures. you hit a wall and you're not quite sure how to get through it, the average person is going to give up, right?
Yeah.
There's a great saying that I love. There's a couple really, but one would be, if you are expecting to live a 1% life, you must take 1% actions. And that doesn't involve quitting or stopping when you hit a wall or you hit a barrier. Find a way to go around it, over it, under it, break through it, demolish it, and keep on pushing. So I think that is definitely the hardest part of becoming successful, which I'm not where I want to be yet. But once you hit those walls, finding a way to get through those walls and not quit.
Fair enough. You know what? I kind of have my questions in order, but we're going to skip a couple of these because we're going into mindset. So let's just stick in the mindset. I found, and again, I am nowhere near where I want to be. If I always say climbing the mountain, if the peak of the mountain is where I want to be, as much as I've done, or I think I've done, I'm still at the base of the mountain. I still am looking up like, holy shit, there's a lot of mountain left. I found the two hardest things I've come across has been the first step. That first step in whatever you want to do, while the rest of the steps are still equally hard, that first step always has that one thing that just makes it hard to make that first step. Once you get past,
absolutely.
Once you get past that, I have found that for me, just for me personally, I found that right now the hardest. Well, I guess I could say I've been past it a little bit, but it's still there. It's always there. All those voices in your head, man. Going back to that mindset, that voice in your head, and we had to talk. I had to talk with Will, and Len, but really Will, because he was really, we're both where we want to be, which is we're not where we want to be, but we like where we are. We're on the path, but sometimes when like I say, I would like to do a podcast today and be Joe Rogan tomorrow.
Right.
I would, Will would like to make these designs of the sneakers and the clothes and be a world famous designer tomorrow. And when it doesn't happen that quick, and it never will, but when it doesn't happen, okay, a week later it's not there, a month later it's not there, that voice in your head, that fucking voice in your head is probably your worst enemy.
Yeah.
So like, what are you being further along the mountain than I am? And again, we're not where we want to be at all,
Right.
But I'm going to assume that you've had those same self-doubts, those voices in your head. Like, what do you do to conquer that and just go, you know what? I'm still going. I'm still moving.
Yeah. I've learned to put and keep things in perspective, right? We tend to see successful people, and the way our mind works, when we see that, we think, oh, we want that. And in our society, we're so ingrained with, instant satisfaction that we think that it should be possible to get that tomorrow, right? If I'm hungry, if I don't feel like cooking, I go to fast food restaurant. I'm in the drive-through. I get what I need.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Need it. Gotta have it, right? And even if you don't, but when you put things into perspective and you start talking to the folks that have become successful, and you learn, wow, it took you 10 years to have your first breakthrough, to wait another 7 years to get where you are now. Bro, 17 years you put into this grinding, and I'm mad about 7 months.
Yeah.
You feel me? You have to just keep going back to that, the perspective of it is a grind, and that anything worth doing is probably going to take a while, because these things are difficult. There is a learning curve. There's a learning process. Like we said earlier, you're going to hit those walls, and it's just never an overnight thing.
Nah, awesome. That's pretty much what I was trying to explain. And even with me saying it, there's still times I'm just like, fuck, I'm not there yet. Like,
Yeah.
why am I not there yet? But, it's funny saying I like that analogy where I could just go get some fast food. And, you always compare fast food to like, fast money. All right, it's there.
Yeah.
It's, you ate it. Is it good for you?
Yeah, probably not.
Did it taste that great? So yeah, or could you have just spent some time in the kitchen, whip up your own thing, and actually have something that was good and then and beneficial for you? And I like that analogy. I took that ball and ran with it. I like that one, man.
Yeah. You want the 1 minute burger? Or you want the 20-minute burger?
Put the work in the kitchen. Put the work in the kitchen, man. Make it how you want to make it. I always tell people, it's not a bad thing to compare yourself to an extent. If you're on the basketball court, there's a reason people are like Kobe. You always want to be the best, but you don't. It takes a while to be there. Oh, what would Mike do? What would Kobe do?
Right.
As somebody that can rhyme, oh man, what would how do I be like Eminem? How do I be like a Jay-Z?
Right.
But understand they had to put that work in. You want to, you compare yourself to the best. If you are like, I'm just going back to the rhyming thing. You don't compare yourself to the hottest kid on the block that can rhyme. There's more to that. You compare yourself to somebody that you'll probably never even meet, that multi-platinum artist. That's your goal.
Yeah.
Now, you make your plans to try to get to that goal. And I always say, man, if you're righteous about your goal, you keep your goal. But I've never met an instance that your plan doesn't change. And boys are going to change.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And it goes back to what Gary Vaynerchuk says all the time. If you see someone that looks like you that has accomplished what you want to accomplish, you no longer have an excuse.
I like that.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. But that also goes back to comparing yourself to people, right? So going to my point off of that, I'll just kind of leapfrog off of it. You can compare yourself, like you said, to a point, and you almost have to, because if you are looking for a mentor, to some extent, you'll have to see like, oh, I think I can accomplish that because someone like me has done it. Someone, and it doesn't have to be a skin color or anything like that, but someone with the same type of circumstance as far as they came up from this, they were broke and had got this, or they didn't go to school, right? I didn't finish school. I'm an excellent learner. I'm a terrible student.
Nah, you know what? I would probably put myself in the same category, but it's not all about that. Again, like, it's funny, you say the things and I'm like, well, I have something to say about a podcast like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes school is cool for some people, but it's not necessarily the only way. We can go into the Forbes list and find people that didn't finish college. We can go into the Forbes list and find people that never finished high school.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it all ends up going on self.
Mm-hmm.
You can have next to nothing if you believe, going back to the mindset, man, if you believe, you have a plan, you strategize, you apply. That's a big thing too.
Right.
And you stay patient. Like, really nothing could stop you. I always say, if nothing could stop you up here, there's nothing on the outside world that's going to be able to stop you. And it's amazing that people allow that to be, you're not supposed to sabotage yourself. But you see people time and again, whether it's that voice in their head, whether it's somebody with some negative feedback, making them stop, like, you know what, okay, yeah, that one person that had an opinion, it must be what everybody else thinks. And it all boils down to self, man.
Yeah. Quick story for you. When I really started getting into my zone here and started my business, was married, all these things, my mother, who I love and trusted, she's gone now. But she would say to me all the time, you're working so hard. Like, you got to take some time and, be careful. You don't burn yourself out and all these things. And her being my mom, I felt like I needed to take that to heart. And then I learned later that I'm not burning myself out because I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm pursuing my passion. And that's how I have the energy for what I'm doing. If you love basketball, you will find any excuse to go and play basketball, right? There's some kids out there that ditch school just to go to the park and ball, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is what it is. This is called a spade a spade. But it's those people who love and care about you most who want to give you that advice, like, oh, slow down, you're gonna burn yourself out, right? And then thinking about comparisons, right? Compare when you're listening to those people who love and care about you, where they are or what they've done with their life to where you want to be. If those two things don't match up, hey, mom, I love you, but respectfully, you don't necessarily know what you're speaking about, right?
Yeah.
And tell them, like, listen, I've talked to this cat and he's done what I want to do. And he's coaching me. He's going to show me the path. So with that, I would love your support. Outside of that, keep your opinion to yourself, and I'll be over tomorrow for dinner. You know what I mean?
It's like when, it's like when you were talking about when you were trying to get it in, but, without knowing you were neglecting your family. It's the intent. The intent is righteous.
Right.
But you know what? Damn, that wasn't the right move. So, my mom's the same. You get that parent advice, and that parent advice comes from a loving place. And it's meant to, protect your child and do all this. It's come from the greatest place ever. But it's not the right advice. It's not necessarily the wrong advice, but it's no. Like
it's out of context. Is what it is.
Out of
right?
context. Yes, sir.
To some person, that would be the right advice. But to someone who has zeroed in on their purpose, can't take a break, bro.
Yeah. I got things I got to do.
Yeah.
There's a mountain that needs climbing.
Right. I'm young now. I feel like I could suffer now to relax later. Right. And I might not want to relax later because if I'm truly in my passion, I'm not going to stop. Yeah. I think about that all the time. Are you going to retire? I don't think so. I really don't.
No, fair. That's a fair statement. I mean, when it comes to this podcast, the podcast, God's willing, this becomes something. This is I don't want to work the 9 to 5 that I have now. If give me my choice, mess around with these crazy ass chemicals all day, or do something that I can smile at and have a great communication with, and maybe learn a couple things. That's an easy choice to make. So like you want to do the things that you love, and even if that means you have to, a little bit of you in that grind gets dust, you turn a little bit of that into dust, but you're gonna grind away either way.
Hey, all you've ground away is your weakness.
I like that.
And I gotta give you respect, man. I gotta give you props because, to your point, you took that first step. You got the ball rolling. There's so many people out there who get stuck in what they call analysis paralysis, right? I gotta have this here, and that's gotta be perfect, or I can't hit the record button until I got all these things going, and I gotta look like the pros, right? Well, they started. They started on an iPhone.
I got this shitty ass lighting going on, but the podcast has to be made. It goes into, to your credit, that goes into knowing and applying.
Mm-hmm.
You can strategize all day, and you can analysis and do all those things, and have the perfect blueprint and format of how to do it. Like, if you follow this, it will be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to follow it?
Right.
Or are you just going to look at the blueprint and just be like, man, this is the one. And then a year later, man, I'm telling you, when I take my first step here, and then, I always use that mountain analogy. if you don't eventually get started, you're not going to climb the mountain. And there comes a point that if you finally start to climb that mountain where you should have reached the peak and dropped your flag down, no, now you're only going to make it about halfway because you spent so much time on the analysis part, on the planning, plotting, strategy, but you were so late on your application of it that even if you were successful, your only peak is going to be halfway, a quarter up. If you depending on if you start super late, you had the plan to reach the top, and that plan was there. But because you had such a late start, you're going to end a quarter of the way up. And those things scare me more than failing.
That is the question I wanted to ask you. It's almost like you read my mind. What is your greatest fear in your entrepreneurial pursuit?
It's cliche, but looking back with the regret is my biggest fear. Knowing that I could have did this, knowing that I think I have a gift of gab. I think I'm able to communicate with people in a way that would make it an entertaining podcast.
Yeah.
Or, I'm an artist. I do paintings. Having the fear factor of my paintings are pretty good. But damn, now I look back when my timeline's almost about to end and looking back and going, why the fuck did I not do those things? That's my biggest fear. I love the people that love me. I have family members that are near and dear to my heart. Like somebody I will live and die for, because they would do that for me.
Right.
But I look at them and I go, as much as I love them, I can be better than them. And that's not a disrespectful way. That's I can do something with what I have. And to look back and go, but I didn't.
Right.
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, same, man. It's the same answer. It's regret. There's so many different things you could regret. But absolutely, I don't want to look back on my life and wish I had done something not knowing that I at least tried it.
And the scary part of that is when you hit a certain point, it's over. You can, I can say, you know what, I don't want to do the podcast anymore. I can come back a year later and go, I'm going to do it. But to waste, that's a big word, man, waste. To waste years and time, time is that one thing we can't get back, and time is that one thing that's going to beat you.
Yes.
And to look back and go, damn, I wasted years and time, those things that I can't get back. So God willing, I'm 90 and I go, I want to start a podcast. Oh shit. It's over. That part damn near makes me start to sweat. So, again, I don't have the greatest setup here. But it has to get done.
Yeah.
I may not have the tools, but I'm gonna MacGyver this shit. I'm gonna take what I have and try to make it into what I can make it into, man. And if it doesn't make it, that's the other thing, the definition of failing. It's not meeting your goal. If you went in for 12 rounds and lost under the decision, man, you got in that ring. You didn't fail.
Right.
It's if you're going to that ring and then you about to step that one foot in the rope and you're like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna be back in the locker room. I'm good. That's the fail.
Yeah.
Knocked down. Like when, earlier in the conversation, you got knocked down. Now you're just like, I'm up and you're down, but you're back up as quick as you went down. That is, we'll see what the end result is, but in no way, if it doesn't work out, was it a fail. because you got back up.
Yeah, and that's how it goes in my book, man. If you get back up, the only way that you will have failed in my eyes is if you quit. If you decide to just lay there, watch the world go by. Yeah, I could have done that. Well, why didn't you? You didn't want it bad enough.
And then you go, what did I do while I was not doing that? Oh, you was watching Netflix. I love Xbox, but you was on your gaming all day. Rolled up a couple joints and you just hanging out there, like, while this fragile thing called time, that hourglass just slowly, and you think it's slow. You think that sand's going slow, and then you're like, holy shit, there's not much sand left on the top part. and people fail to realize that. Like my nephew, youngin', 18, I'm trying to push him, dude, pay now. You're going to have fun later.
Right.
Don't, again, like I give my losses out. Dude, don't take that fucking door. I'm telling you. I tell him, dude, I wasted a lot of time before I figured it out. Because now with social media, you got little things that you may never meet your mentor, but you can reach out to them in different ways.
Yeah. Listen, I've found so many mentors in books and podcasts. They are literally countless. They say the average CEO reads over somewhere between 52 to 60 books a week. And how I primarily consume my books is through audio now, right? I'm driving, I'm working on a computer doing something. I've always got something in my ear playing. I'm constantly learning. And you might not absorb everything right out of the gate, but listen to it again. And you're always going to find something new until you can, recite what you've heard. There's more to learn in there, right? And what you'll find is you'll start speaking to people and you will start sounding like your mentors. You will start sounding like the books you've read or listened to. You will start sounding like the information you've absorbed from the podcast, because that has now been ingrained in you, especially when you target your information to something that you want to be doing. You will be excited to talk about it. It's hard to stop me from talking about business now. It's hard to stop me from talking about mindset.
Dude, I'm this conversation right now. Like, we're just having this back and forth, and it's not a struggle.
Right.
It's something that I like to do, like you said, like to get those little tidbits, even if it's on my Instagram for my, for the Paul and Palz podcast.
Yeah.
It's filled with the Billionaires Club, like this one. I don't have too many actual people on it that I follow. I have things I need to absorb. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about the Instagram model. I want to know the Warren Buffett's thinking right now. Like, you get to that level, and then you realize, like, again, like I told my nephew, it took me longer than I wish it would have to be mentally where I'm at now, as far as climbing that mountain, taking those steps forward, getting knocked down. Like, now I'm like you, probably not like you, but now I'm like, I get knocked down, again, it may take a moment, but it used to, used to get ready to put the chalk on me, and I'm like, all right, wait, hold on, let me get up. Now it's like, bang, okay, I'm down. I may be down there like, ow, that hurt. Then I'll dust myself off, and then I'll get up. But each one is a little less painful, but you have to go through it. And for a while, man, like, I'd get hit, I'd go down, and I'd just be like, why? That's the other thing. Don't worry about the why. Like, it's nothing personal. It's just life. There's nothing personal about the bumps that you take, the rejections in life, the naysayers, the haters, because guess what? I have them, you have them. The voice in your head, we all have them. It's never personal. When you realize that, you go down, it helps getting back up, man. It took, unfortunately for me, it took a while to learn that, you know.
Right.
So
Right. And it does for most people, man, you know. And speaking of the word why, the only why you need to be worried about and the why that you need to develop is why you're doing what you're doing, right? What purpose bigger than yourself do you have to accomplish your goal? That's going to help you actually get that ball rolling, take that first step, and continue when you get hit in the face, right? When you get knocked down, when you hit the wall, your why, when you have that finely tuned and finely defined, that's what's going to push you through your barriers. So I got a bit of coaching for you. I'm sure you'll appreciate it if you're willing to get like super real with me for a second.
yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. What's your why?
So I've always been taught, well, again, just trying to find little mentors here and there. Mr. Eric E.T. Thomas has stated that your why has to be deeper than you.
Yes.
Has to be. So it made me buckle down for a minute and figure that out. My why that's deeper for me is, again, because I don't have my own family. So my why is to let my parents know that, you know, their son wasn't wasted doing the dumb shit that most people do. Something that, and, you know, parents, I'm always proud of you. You can do whatever. I'll visit you in jail. I'm still proud of you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I get that. But I want you guys to know that I'm more than that. You know, there's levels of being proud of somebody. I want them to hit that level. For my nephew, it's to show them that their uncle, you know, because we're close. Me and my nephew are close. And I have to set the example. You know, it's more than me now as far as why I'm doing what I'm doing. It would love to do a podcast today, be successful about it tomorrow. It's not only for my own badge of honor, let's just say.
Right.
You know, I have people that are looking at me in a way that I can't be the things that not that I want to be, but I can't be the things that would make me comfortable, lax. I can't even now it's like I can't even imagine myself doing those things. Just being this lazy dude, being this dude with like little to no ambition.
Yeah.
Because I have people that I can't let my nephew see me like that. What am I, crazy?
Right.
I gotta step up for other people.
I got you.
So
all right, I'm gonna push you a little bit further.
Okay.
Right. And we're gonna work towards getting your why very defined. Right. And you'll see when we're towards the end of this, I'll share my why with you. It'll give you an example of maybe how to focus yours down. But now I wouldn't wish this on you in any way. I'm sure your parents will live for a long time. Your why, part of your why was to show your parents, right? What makes you push when they're gone?
That's fair. That's fair. You know, that's fair. I would say, again, my own means aside, because, you know, we all want, and in my terms of success isn't a fancy car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not money per se. Don't get me wrong. You want the money.
Yeah.
But it's not, to me, the definition of success. To me, the definition of success is having the time to do what you want. So can money help that? Yes. So they kind of are entangled. So again, if it's something outside of myself and my parents weren't around, it would probably be, and you're gonna have to help me out with this to go into what you're saying, but it would probably be, again, like, you know, my nephew, like the people that the younger generation that's gonna look up to the older generation and either see this joke of a family member or see somebody that they could be like, damn, I want to be like Uncle Paul, like, or he got his shit together.
Yeah.
I need to do that. And maybe my nephew doesn't fall into the dumb shit that I did when I was a kid.
Right. Right. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is you want to be a beacon for your nephew, set an example of how you can get to whatever North Star it is that he may want to get to in the future, correct?
And if I could just elaborate on that too, or just expound on that. There's a cycle in my, most families that grew up, I don't want to say poverty, everybody goes through this shit. Most families that's grown up and have, the majority have known hard times. You're stuck in a cycle. You are stuck in this never-ending loop. And I find myself wanting to break that trend.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I would say that's part of it all too. That kind of leans more on me, internal.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a ton of aspects to it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do is to help you make it bigger, right? So how can I word this? Let's say we're trying to make a bigger impact. So what I'm hearing you say is, you want to, teach, right? What if your nephew isn't ready to hear the words that you're giving to him for another 15 years? Would you stop? Or would you keep doing what you're doing to help others?
I would keep doing to help others, but also be like, dude, in 15 years, you better catch this shit.
And well, here's the the realization is he may never catch it.
That's fair. That's fair.
What I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to help you do is cast a broader net.
Yeah.
Right? You'll hear a lot of successful people say, I would be happy just to help one. You can't always dictate who that one is.
No, that's fair.
Right? And so I'll kind of give you a little bit about mine. I learned the term BHAG, which is just an acronym. If you've never heard it before, it's Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal.
Say it again.
Big, hairy, audacious goal.
Okay.
Right? So this BHAG is why I get out of bed in the morning. This BHAG, if I had to layer them, stands atop everything else. Okay, the business goals, the money goals, the personal wants, all those things will build me into accomplishing my BHAG, but that's my North Star. So my BHAG is I want to positively impact the life of everyone I come into contact with.
Okay.
All right. So I've narrowed it down to one sentence. And a lot of what you've said in yours kind of gets swallowed up by mine, right? Like that's a part of it, right? I want to help my nephews. I want to help my niece because I don't have a nephew, but I want to help my niece, right? I want to help my coworker be better. I want to help my managers be better, right? I want to help the people that I hire to have a better job, a better culture to work in. I have the idea that the people that I'm going to hire within my business, I'm going to help them develop themselves. Over the past 2 years, I've done a ton on self-development. I want to help open their eyes to be a better employee or to even be an entrepreneur if that's something that they want to do, right? So my BHAG is more or less all consuming because it's literally everyone that I want to help is everyone I'll be coming in contact with. And, I might have somebody say, well, you might run into somebody racist who ain't going to hear what you have to say. Well, you know what? I can still positively impact their life by teaching them a lesson they don't even want to learn, right? Just being the stand-up person that I am and showing them an example of why their hate for who they think I am is unwarranted. And that's going to sit with them. I don't care who they are. They're going to see that example, and that's going to follow them for the rest of their life.
That's wow. I mean, that's pretty deep. When I play this back and because I'm hearing it and I'm like, wow, but you may have just broadened my horizon. Like you may have just made my little fishing rod a gigantic net, like you said, because
My man.
that level is, correct me if I'm wrong, but that level of thought is multi-purpose. There is no, like you were saying, but what happens if this person doesn't understand? What happens if these people are no longer here? You're setting the bar and an example, not just for everybody else, but how you set your bar, has you on Superman level, kind of just floating around, levitating, like, hey guys, see what I'm doing? Like, that makes people, it's an aura. It's a light that just kind of shines on people, whether they want to admit it or not. Like, that light is just going to be like, oh, so damn, you just gave me something to think about. I'm not even going to front with that.
That was the purpose. And
the
other thing I'll share with you is when you get that goal that tuned in, that defined, the more people you share it with, the more people you're now accountable to, right? The more eyes you have on you, the more people that you can get to say to you, hey, what steps did you take today to get towards that big, hairy, audacious goal that you told me about? And you better have an answer.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's the type of person I am. I want to have an answer.
Yeah.
I was working on this today. I did this. I was tired. I've been up with my newborn for 3 weeks now. I haven't got a lot of sleep, but I'm holding her on my lap at the computer, learning Adobe Photoshop, learning Adobe Audition, YouTube videos, all these things, making plans with you, talking to my friend in Ohio that is doing the podcast and the book with me, right? All those things, stealing a little time here and there. Well, not even stealing the time. I'm up with her. If I'm not sleeping, I might as well be working.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I remember Rogan had Kevin Hart, and he on it was, if you haven't seen that episode, Kevin Hart with
I haven't.
Kevin Hart with Joe Rogan, and he's just like, damn, dude, you're getting it in, like, you're just doing all these things, like, pretty much like how you're saying that big, hairy, audacious, like that, like how he's kind of on that same mentality. And his answer was, what else are we gonna do? Like, what else is there to do? And just hearing that, you're just like, oh shit, like, wow, like, going back to, what are you gonna do? You want to watch some Netflix? All right, what are you really doing? So wow, man, that's pretty deep. Thank you for the knowledge. Like, that's
absolutely.
When that thing soaks in, because again, we're just going through it right now. When I go back and hear it and it soaks in, there's a great chance you have just changed a very big part of my outlook. So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's not so much that I want credit for it. I just want to expose you so you have the now thought patterns to get yourself in a place where I'm so focused on what I need to do. There's nobody that could possibly strip it away from me, right? I'm laser focused now. I'm going to look at the camera. I'm laser focused now on where I need to be. And if you really think about it, if you were to look at your camera, everything else starts to fade away, right? All I can see is that lens. So the people with the noise over here, like, oh, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, well, you haven't done it. Oh, not it.
Yeah. Kids over here. Like, I can't hear you.
Exactly.
Going, very, very, kind of in the same vein, just telling Will when we were talking, I'm like, be so focused on what you're doing that when you're up on that mountain, you can no longer hear the people talking because you're on a higher elevation, so yeah, wow, man, that's a gem right there. I'm going to take that one, and I'm tucking that one in, man. But it's like what you said, like, okay, like how you just said, I'm not trying to teach you, but you're holding yourself to that standard that just what you're saying is just a light shining. It's just going to hit whoever. Like, you got to, so I'm embracing that one, man. Like, that's a good one. Wow, that's pretty deep. I like that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I try to cast my net wide. I don't know who it's going to hit, who it's going to affect. Someone may listen to this very episode 3 years from now, hear that, have to listen to it 13 times, and on the 13th time, and be like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is why I love the podcast format so much, because we get it out there, it's out there. And, we never know when it's going to really affect or change the life of somebody, even just inadvertently. I might share this with somebody and they share it with somebody and they pass it on to their kid. Like, yo, listen to this. And if they're in, that moment of information absorption where it was the right time and that gets them going, that helps them take their first step. They get the ball rolling, and now they have the momentum to keep going, and they have, confidence because they've learned, and, they can keep moving in the right direction. Hey, I don't need to know about it. I'm choosing to believe that my words and my actions are going to help others get there.
Yeah, that's why like even in my podcast, I try to, we'll have fun with it. We'll talk about nonsense, we'll talk about any and everything, but somewhere along those lines, I want to drop whatever knowledge that I possibly can drop. Yeah. Again, you don't know who's going to be listening to it, and you don't know who can get it. You get to an age, man, and you just want to, at a certain point, you are the teacher. Mm-hmm. You've done your, you've graduated one way or the other. You're out of school. You're out of the school of hard knocks or whatever it is, and you are now obligated to teach. Again, maybe you don't reach out to everybody. Maybe nobody wants to hear it, but as long as you're saying those things, somebody might catch it, because that's now your position. And I kind of find myself in that position, man.
I got you.
When going back to talking about Will, I remember you wanted to give him this little bit of knowledge because he was talking about those Google ads.
Yeah.
He was a little, I guess discouraged would be the word. Just because, again, we see the goal, but we're just trying to take one gigantic leap to get there.
Right.
And sometimes the things that you try aren't necessarily not working. I'm not gonna say not working. But again, you're not gonna hit that, unless you're the Incredible Hulk. You're not gonna take that one leap and get to your end result. So, what did you want to tell him about that?
So the point I was making was I saw him get to one of those proverbial walls, right? If I remember correctly, he says something along the lines of, I filtered the ad to cover like the whole world or whatever it was, like every continent, right? And I remember him saying he got so many impressions, right? And that he got so many engagements. What I would challenge him to do, as any successful business owner would do, start to internalize that and not blame Google ads, right? So he had this feeling that, oh man, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Maybe Google ads just doesn't work, right? Well, the reality is maybe you need to do a little more homework and focus down who you're trying to target. You feel me? So he did cast a broad net, but marketing works a little bit differently than that. So I would challenge him to think of, who is his true audience? Is it people who wear clothes, or is it people who enjoy hip hop? Right? That 80-year-old man in China might not like his design. Right? And I haven't seen his designs, but to say, his target market is people who love hip hop, and that's who's going to wear his clothes, right?
Fair assessment.
So, okay. Now you need to eliminate that guy, because one of those 200,000 some impressions I believe I heard him say he got might have went to that 80-year-old who was just flipping through the internet doing whatever, because he was in that bubble that he created for his targeted market, right? So you gotta, I was just saying, being finite with what your goal is, make your goal of targeting people in your marketing finite as well. And the better you can narrow that down, the higher your conversion rate is going to go up.
Okay.
You feel me?
I feel you, because I haven't done Google ads yet, and my marketing has been very not broad. Like right now, my marketing is promoting through Instagram until I figure out the other means. But when you go to promote on Instagram, you make your own breakdown of who you're trying to, what state, country, and who are you trying to reach, age group, this,
Right.
that, and the third. And at first, I'm like, who the hell am I reaching out to? It's a pretty big world. Like, how do I break this down? So what I went to Google and I was like, all right, demographics of podcasts. And it gave me demographics. Well, it shows that more men listen than women. It shows that people that have time or people that work out a lot, people that work a lot, that have the time to just throw something on their ears and listen. So my next step after that was, all right, Google, what are the hardest working? What are the hardest workers in the country? Oh, okay. A couple Midwest states are defined as the hardest workers in the country. Okay. Oh, okay. Virginia's there too. Okay. Who's the most fit that they have time that they'll be in the gym that they could just throw something on their ear and just listen to? Okay. Well, these states are the most fit. Okay. So based off of that, taking these states and I'm going to throw that in and, I still have work to do, no marketing, but pretty successful because the ones that I've hit, it shows like, oh, they're catching it. The views on what I'm promoting are pretty decent. And, and there's still more to do. I'm going to be looking into to Google Ads too and try to figure all this out because I'm trying to reach as many people as I can with it. But yeah, like you have to break down the breakdown and then break that down. Like, I agree with that. I agree.
Break it down until it breaks and then take a step back and that's where you won't be.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, like you said, you have to get finite with it. Like you have to take this engine and, when it's done, you're looking at 1,000 pieces, on the floor that you could be like, okay, that's what all these pieces are. And then you got to make you make your determinations like that. So as much work as I have to do in the marketing area, like I agree with that, because I did a little bit and it was still like, damn, there's more. Like, like damn, I got to break down more.
Yeah. And you're only talking about 2 avenues.
And we're only talking about 2 avenues. And I'm only talking about the one I did. And it was like a breakdown of this demographic, and then you take that demographic, and then you break down that demographic, and then you take this state, and because that says that state's the thing that you want. There's a lot that goes into it, man. Like you have to be all things. In Will's case, you're the designer, you're the ad guy, you're the marketing guy, you're the owner of it. In my in what I'm trying to do with the podcast, I'm the fucking director, the editor, the host. I take this and I bring it to Adobe. I'm on Premiere and I gotta break that down. And then I have to do the marketing and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
I hear you. With Premiere, you can strip the audio and put it strictly into podcast format.
With Premiere, you can end up just going audio. If you're gonna do that, you might as well just go through Audition, like you're doing.
Ideally, I would like to make a recording, and from that recording, be able to do YouTube and a podcast.
Premiere.
Okay.
Premiere will take the video. You're able to add the text to Bryan Hooks will be on that side.
Subtitles on
Montavo. If you have a logo, you can drop your logo on there. Like it is all things video. When my YouTube clips come out, it's from Premiere.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The audio.
Now, do you have just a straight podcast with just only audio?
I do.
Okay.
I go through Buzzsprout, and that's just like the hub of. So now off of Buzzsprout, that's where you upload your podcast.
That's your host, right?
Yes, and that is
it spits it to all the different platforms.
And that is MP3 audio only. and right now it's Spotify, Podfriend, Podcast, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, like the directory there. You can pretty much whatever plays anything audio is your outlet. So, yeah.
Buzzsprout. Okay, I'm gonna have to get on that.
I'm quite happy with it. It has a
Okay.
breakdown of, it breaks a lot of things down. If I had to recommend it, and I did my research on it, and that's the one I found, I'm quite happy with it. So I would say Buzzsprout is probably the best way to go.
There's there's a resource for you that you might like. Have you ever heard of John Lee Dumas?
No.
He has a podcast creation tutorial. It's a free video series that he has on his website. I will Google his name, John Lee Dumas, spelled Dumas. And then he also has a group of people, I think it's called Podcasters Paradise. It's a paid group, but you then hop into that community and you learn and teach each other and get, some more knowledge from him. He hopped on podcasting when it was like fresh out of the gate and has this business based around podcasting amongst other things as well. I think he does a podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire. Great podcast. Speaks to a lot of different entrepreneurs about, what their struggles were, all over the gamut of business, but very, very good resource as far as expanding your knowledge about podcasting and how to create and market it and, really make it, the best it can be.
No, fair. Because I think I'm on the resource phase of it too. Like, okay, I know how to whip up an audio. I know how to whip up a video. How can I mold the things and get I need the references and, that community. So yeah. I'm definitely going to look into it, man. I'm definitely going to
getting finite with it. Now that I've been studying Adobe Photoshop, I've been learning that, your thumbnail, right? Well, it's a specific size, right? There's so many pixels by so many pixels. And when you go into the Adobe Photoshop to design that, you can make your parameters within those specific amount of pixels. So whatever you put in there, will now show in your thumbnail. And, you can make sure that, what colors are going to work the best, because he basically, in one of the videos, brought up a slate of all the podcasts that were showing, as if you were to go into a search, right? So there's all the thumbnails. And he's like, take a look, which ones stand out to you? Are you going to get lost in the sea of thumbnails, or is yours going to draw somebody's eyes immediately?
Okay.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, fair, man. Like it's why I love these conversations, man. Because look, man, what do they say? The smartest man admits that he knows nothing. I know next to nothing. I consider myself somewhat intellectual, but at the end of it, I don't know anything. So to be able to have this conversation, and whoever's hearing this, there's a ton of knowledge that's being passed away, passed off. Yeah. I am myself am like one of these viewers. Like, I'm hosting, but I'm just a viewer. Like, okay, and then what happened? And what else did you do? So
I love it.
Oh man, knowledge, man. Knowledge is power, man. Just one of those cliches of cliches, but damn if there's not some truth behind it, man. So
yeah, man.
And
you're never done learning. That's what I know. I don't care who you are, where you're at. You're never done learning.
The person
I know you alluded to Warren Buffett, right? He carries books with him all the time. I can't even tell you how many books he reads every day.
I forgot the ludicrous amount that he says. Like, he's just, I'm not a reader, but I like your idea of going to audiobooks. I always saw that as cheating, but you know what? Yeah. You know what?
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying.
Yeah. No, man, that's, there's a certain, like, you have to do it like this, but you know what? You got to get it done, So if reading the written word isn't your thing, then maybe the audio podcast is the way to go. So, well, you know what? Kind of perfectly segues into this. If you want to, what would you want to talk about your book? Like, what's your? Do we have a title yet? What's the premise of it?
Yeah, so it's actually going to mimic the podcast. And so we're establishing that now, but it's marriage is harder than woodpecker lips. All right. So it's kind of funny, but it's meant to be that way because it's going to be geared primarily towards men, right? What our idea is to create a safe space for men to talk about relationships, right? Bounce ideas off of each other, learn from one another. My idea is to interview the entire gamut of men, either wanting to be or being in or having been in a relationship, right? So let's say anywhere from being engaged to being married 1 to 3 years, 4 to 7, all the way up to widowed, right? My idea is through sharing the knowledge that I gain and asking questions and interviewing people all through this entire gamut, I will learn and I will be a better husband and father, right?
It's a win-win then.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've also kind of come to terms with is, as men, we more times than not, I feel, are not necessarily given the tools to be the best husband and father we can be, right? Like we come up, we talk about football and practice and, all these things I could do to be a better athlete, right? How can I make more money, right? And it's funny because we do all these things to typically impress women, right? And then we get into the relationship and we don't know how to be in a relationship.
It's wow, that's pretty good. Like I would actually look forward to reading that. Those are weird waters to navigate, I'll say. Because like what you said, you have to do those things to get a woman because, we're not the same. Men and women, we are on, Mars and Venus. We're on 2 different planets, man.
Absolutely.
And what one thing wants, or what men use to get the women, but that's what's used, it's the bait. And that's what it takes for the women to bite. But then you do that, right. And then those two people get together. It's like a whole new process after that.
Yeah. And then to go even further and learn that different women want different things, right? So we become our little cookie cutter version of ourselves, and we start looking out there, right? We start hunting. Mm-hmm. Like, whoa, I've done everything I've done to get to this position. Like, why can't I execute with this woman here? It's like, because she don't want that, bro. You know what I mean? And then you go even deeper into it and you get into a relationship and you find that different women experience love in different ways, right? There was a book that my wife shared with me. It's called, I believe, The 5 Love Languages, right? And, some women experience love as gift giving, right? And they'll experience all of those things, but, one is always going to be more important to her than another, right? So it might be gift giving. It might be, now my words are slipping me right now, but it might be something like validation, right? She needs you to tell her every day, hey, I love you. Thank you for so much for being who you are. I see that you're taking care of the kids. I appreciate that so much, right? And you're always hugging her. Another value might be touch, right? They need to feel you on them constantly, right? And goes back to these things that as children we made fun of, like, oh, she's so clingy. Well, that's how she feels love, right? When you become an adult and study it, you're like, oh, all right. Well, I don't like the touch, so I don't need a clingy woman. But now I understand that it's not a fault of hers. That's just how she wants to experience love. Okay, cool.
Yeah, guys will go. You'll meet one woman, and it's just like, okay, she wants to be touched. You're like, no, you're touching. Keep touching. Like, God, man, like, no, I don't want to keep touching it. And then you meet the woman, You know, the next woman that, you know, you try to do the same thing. It's like, yo, get off me. Like, why are you always trying to touch me, man? Like, relationships are tough, man. I don't necessarily say I fail at them. I'm just at a point now that I'm just like, I just need to do me right now, because that's just gonna keep tripping me up. Like, I focus on myself right now.
Yeah, man. I was just trying to look up that book real quick. The author is Gary Chapman.
Okay.
And it is The 5 Love Languages. What I also learned is there's actually 2 versions. He wrote a main version, which I believe he felt applied more to females, but then he also wrote a version for men.
Okay. Gary, you better not have been divorced like 4 times, Gary.
Right? Bro, I wouldn't share this with you if it didn't have some valuable information in it. So, I mean, it's legit. It's legit.
No,
but I would say for those who want to be in a relationship or are in a relationship, whether it's in a solid place or not, check that out. It's not a long read, but there's also in an audio version.
No, yeah. You know what? And you know what, man? Not, you know, all jokes aside, you know, audio version is the way I'm going to be looking to things now, because I have time on my hands, and sometimes you got to do things, but you still technically have time. But, you know, doing dishes, you know, cleaning up, doing things, and you just need something. You can't read a book while you're doing that, but you could damn sure listen to one. So, you know, true that. And, you know, like I said, man, like, take your word for it, dude. As long as I've known you, you know, no matter what the business has been, you've been about your business. So, you know, I look forward to reading those books. I look forward to when your book comes out, because I know it will, and I know it's gonna be an awesome book, man. I love the premise of it, and I can't wait for the podcast, man. Like, you know, if you ever need a little Robin sometimes to your Batman, you know, send me a shout, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm sure there will come a time when my co-host won't be available, or, you know, maybe I won't be available for him, and, you know, we still got to get the work in. So, yeah, I'll definitely keep you in mind when I need to have somebody step in, man. I'd love to have you.
No, I appreciate that, man. And actually, if it's all good, same here, man. There's times I can't get a hold of, you know, Will or Len, man. If that's the case, if I ever need somebody to come in, man, if I ever need a relief pitcher to come in, man, you know, I would love to reach out to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Doors open.
And I promise I'll have some better lighting and step my shit up a little bit.
Yo, I want to show you this, but it would mess up my rig right now. I got this little setup for my cell phone from Walmart, right? I think it was like $30-some, but there is a microphone you can plug into the phone. There is literally a 50-point LED light that is, you know, making me probably look better than I actually look. And then there is a holder for the phone. It's rectangular. It's got the piece on the bottom, so you could set it onto a tripod, which I also have it on, so everything's stable. I don't have to touch it.
Dude, I'm such a fucking caveman. Like, I'm so far back. Like, I probably just discovered fire like the other day. You know. I'm working on it, but like you said, man, you know, you just work with the tools that you have, and I, you know, I'll be getting better on it. Hopefully, I'll be able to step up my quality a little bit more. Feel a little bit better about myself when next time I'm in the ring with you.
I hear you, man. I mean, I just felt like it was such a low barrier to upgrade to a quality that, like, if I had not said that, someone may have thought, like, yo, this is like a professional gear. No, I got the $36 joint that there's some 12-year-old using on TikTok right now.
I am literally like, if I didn't know any better, you had a cameraman pointing at that, and I'm just waiting for like the boom mic to come down, like, you know. So.
Oh, stop playing. I just realized I could have set this up differently and just turned it so I could have had it in portrait mode still on the rig. Because I just looked at the sides and there's the threads on there too.
Well, for next time.
I wasn't thinking fast enough.
Yeah. We'll hold that down for next time. And I promise I'll probably step my game up. And I like the phone idea though. So, you know, I can get better quality with the phone. So I'm gonna
legit, man.
Step on that. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. Well, I know you said a couple of books, but do you have any books that you recommend as far as business-wise or anything like that?
Well, I guess our whole point was to talk about mindset, right? The book that I constantly go back to, because I don't care who you are, every once in a while you're going to get in a funk. And for whatever reason, when I go back and listen to this book, it pulls me out. And that book is The 10X Rules by Grant Cardone.
Okay.
All right. And I don't care what business you are in, what he speaks about in that will pertain to you. And the lesson I will leave you with, and you can go and get from the book in a more, in-depth manner, is your success is your duty, responsibility, and obligation.
Mm.
If you start looking at things, my light just went out, battery died. When you start looking at things from that frame of mind, that mindset, you will not allow yourself to fail. Right? It is once I figure out what it is that I want, it's my duty to go and get that. It's my obligation to go and get that. It is, the way he explains it basically is, if you don't execute on those parameters, you are cheating yourself, you are cheating your family, you are cheating your goals. Even if you're an employee somewhere, right? There is a way for you to be successful within your job, right? You are cheating your employer. You are cheating the customers of said employer, right? Your duty, your obligation, and your responsibility to go get your success.
That mindset, man. Like you could break down everything. Circumstances. Well, I grew up in poverty, or silver spoon in my mouth, or I didn't have what these people had to start, or I have a shitty connection or whatever. But mindset, man, mindset. Like, when people really understand that it's all about, it has nothing to do with the external world, man. It's
Mm-hmm. It's between your ears, man. And it goes with anything, right? We spoke about my marriage earlier. If my mindset was, well, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and do me because that's who I am, and I didn't want to be a better husband and father, then I probably wouldn't have a marriage right now, but I would also have created miserable children and a miserable wife, right? Now, if I have the mindset that the success of my family is, my responsibility, duty, and obligation, now I'm transformed and I got to put some work into this relationship.
Mindset and self, man. Like, don't look to any other outside sources, because it all begins and ends with you, man. So,
Yeah.
dude,
Hey, tell your boy to put this on a t-shirt. You can keep making excuses or you can keep making a way. Choose one.
I like that. I'll let you come. I got a few t-shirt designs. You can have that one. But that's a sick one though. That's a sick one though. If you're not gonna use it, let me know and I'll jump on it.
Go ahead.
I'm working on some Teespring shit right now, man. So
I got you.
As another outlet, you just gotta try
just send me one. That's all I ask.
Fair enough, man. So if you don't have any other parting words of wisdom, I would like to thank you for your time, dude. Like, it was amazing talk. No, man, thank you. Because you have people on and you'll find out. You can have people on and talk about nothing for an hour, and then you go back to do the editing, and you're like, oh, yeesh. It's gonna be like a 15-minute podcast. Then I see, but what we talked about again, because I like to have fun, I like to joke, I like to have there's some fluff stuff I don't mind having on, but that knowledge part of it is a lot of why I try to do what I do. And again, I can have a podcast about, hey, what's your favorite movie of all time, and just shoot the shit on that, but the important things are the important things, and this one was important, and it was because of you. So, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for not only giving some other people some knowledge, to whoever's hearing this, but me. Like, thank you. I'm better now off of this. Like, I'm a better person leaving this conversation.
What's up, man? That falls right into my BHAG.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got caught in the net. And, it's a good one. Good Castro. So, if you have any other parting words, please, say your piece. If not, then we're just going to wrap this up.
Yeah, man. Only thing I can think of is, find out what's holding you back, right? And for me, when I was being held back, I found that it was because I didn't care enough about the goal that I thought I wanted, right? And I went through and figured out what my actual motivation in life was. And my top one is freedom, right? Now, money and all those things help. That'll help me get to that freedom. But if I were to have to choose to be free, be able to go where I want, not have to answer to a boss and take my family along for a ride, all those freedom type things, or be here and make 9 times the amount of money that I'm making right now, I choose freedom anytime. And that's what keeps me moving. Having that realization, having those things in perspective, keeps me moving towards my goal, man. So find out what's, in your way and get it out of the way. And the one thing that I would say would help you most is find out what your true motivation is. And that'll keep you moving.
Like you said before, man, what's your why? And that's a big part of it, man. And, you help broaden my horizon. You help open my eyes as far as like the why goes. And,
cool.
Again, like, so salute to you, give me a little bow before I give you one too. Appreciate your time again, dude. So for Mr. Bryan Hooks, I am Paul. This has been a very special Paul and Palz podcast. Again, man, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Can't wait to do it again, man. Anytime you need me, just I'm a ring away.
All right, absolutely.
All right, man. Catch you guys later. Appreciate everybody who stood by and listened. And you got some knowledge on it, so I hope you listened. So, peace.
Bye.